Hello, everybody. Johnson Play here with West Coast Weather. Today is December 2nd, and we're going to talk about the series of atmospheric rivers that are going to start moving into the Pacific Northwest. They're going to bring gusty winds and heavy rain to lots of the region, mainly just clipping just north of California, but parts of the Sierra Nevadas in Northern California and parts of the coastal ranges will get some decent precipitation as well. And then we're going to take a look at the extended forecast, and it looks like we're going to continue the active weather pattern into later December. Sorry about that. I'm stuck in the last month. And then the main thing that we're going to be watching is this next atmospheric river that's just off just off the screen right now. This is going to bring some really heavy 24-48 hour rainfall totals that are going to lead to some likely river flooding on some of the area rivers like the Skagit River, the Snohomish River, the Wilson River down near Tillamook, Oregon on the coast over there. And a lot of other rivers are going to reach flood stage and maybe possibly even reaching major flood stage. So stay tuned to those weather watches and warnings, and stay tuned to your local news stations for updates on those rivers. And then we're also just going to take a quick look at the extended forecast, as we may get a break after all of these storm systems later this week, but it looks like we're going to continue well into December with the active weather. You may have noticed that the webcam looks a bit more clear, and that's because I just got the whole new computer setup all up and running, so that's going to make all the next videos I'm making a lot more clear and run a lot smoother. So that's something to look forward to. If you like these videos and find them informative, just hit the like button, subscribe button down below, and without further ado, let's get right into the video. Now we're looking at the ridge and trough positions. Here's Alaska, up here, British Columbia, Washington, Oregon, California. So here's our system that's kind of is moving out of the area today. Kind of some chilly air and rain showers continuing behind that. We get a bit of a break tonight before our first atmospheric river. This one's going to be relatively weak compared to this next one behind it, but still going to bring some decent rain amounts to parts of southwest BC, western Washington, and Oregon. And this will bring some breezy conditions as well. Not as strong as this last system that brought a lot of power outages and tree damage to parts of the Puget Sound in Washington, but there's going to be still some blustery winds. We got another bit of a break later on Sunday night into early Monday. This ridge is over the area, but we got this huge trough and big storm system right here, and we're going to be right between these, which is going to push an atmospheric river right into the area. When you go right between these blues and oranges, that means you're going to have all the moisture and all the rainfall from the atmospheric river, or called the Pineapple Express. This one's actually going to be a classic Pineapple Express, as this moisture is going to be flowing up from Hawaii. And then you can see that just lingers all the way through Wednesday before dying off. Let me update this so we can go out a little farther. And you can see that kind of finally dies off. And we got another weaker system starting to move in Thursday and Friday, bring some additional precipitation and some breezy winds as well. And then the European model brings a bigger ridge in the area. This would give us a few days of dry weather. But you can see not that far behind is another storm system, and the GFS is also showing that as well. And then let's take a look at the mean sea level pressure. You can see that the system moving in Sunday doesn't have quite as tight of a pressure gradient, and it's not going to bring as strong winds, but it's still going to be breezy. And then our next big atmospheric river and main storm system's going to start moving in. Thankfully, the main low pressure system staying over the open waters of the Gulf of Alaska. This is just going to give us breathing conditions and prolonged rainfall that are going to it's going to be getting wrung out across the Cascades. Atmospheric rivers are relatively short and in depth when it comes to where the moisture is in the atmosphere. So when they bank up against the tall mountains of the Cascades, it's kind of like a towel getting wrung out. It just, all the moisture kind of gets pulled out. Some of that can make it over into eastern Washington, eastern BC, and Oregon, but it's not compared to the other systems we get. So you can really just start building up tons of precipitation on the Cascades. That system the atmospheric rivers finally starts weakening and dissipating by Wednesday. But you can see this remnants system that's kind of been trending weaker on models move through on Thursday and into Friday. And then you can see that ridge starting to build over the area with an additional storm system possible after that the next weekend. And if we go and take a look at the 700 millibar temperatures in Celsius, this is about 10,000 feet in the atmosphere. And any grays or colder looking temperatures is all below freezing. So you can see where that freezing line is, up at around 10,000 feet. You can see this atmospheric river moving in on Sunday. You can see that the temperatures warm up a bit, but there's still some mountain snows in the highest terrain, maybe getting above freezing for parts of the mountains. But then you can see that just as clear as day, the big atmospheric river moving in on later on Monday and the Tuesday. It's going to get above freezing all the way above 10,000 feet, which is going to switch all the snow to rain for most of the Cascades and the Olympic Mountains, before maybe finally switching back later on Tuesday. But the temperatures are still staying relatively warm up there around 10,000 feet. And then you can see the colder air comes back down around Wednesday, when we can start expecting a little bit more mountain snows. But that warm temperatures aloft is going to cause all that heavier mountain snow that we got over the weekend that start melting with heavy rain on top of it, which is going to lead the runoff issues and flooding in the area rivers. Now we're looking at the 6-hour precipitation totals, and you can see the atmospheric river on Sunday mainly targeting Oregon and parts of the Washington Cascades, but that doesn't last as long as this next one coming in. But you can see there's not much of a break for Oregon. There's a little bit for Washington, but the Oregon Cascades and the coastal ranges are just going to keep getting rain, prolonged rain all the way through Tuesday and Wednesday. Then you can see the fire hose of moisture moving into the area. You can see some 6-hour precipitation totals over 2.5 inches for parts of the Olympic Mountains, so very heavy rainfall. And this kind of lingers and kind of gets reinforced a little bit Wednesday morning before finally moving southward and dissipating over Oregon and into Idaho. But then you can see our next remnant system moving in Thursday into Friday with additional precipitation. There may be some convergence in activity that may enhance some precipitation totals over the Puget Sound of Western Washington. And then you can see another possible atmospheric river later next weekend, but small L's are still not agreeing on this very well, which is to be expected because this is about 8 to 9 days away. So we'll continue to watch this. Here's the total precipitation inches from the European model. Let me up this again. You can see by just Monday, before the main atmospheric river starts moving in the area, you can already see additional precipitation totals 2 to 3 inches, maybe up to 4 to 5 inches for parts of the Oregon Cascades and the Oregon coastline. This is definitely going to start leading to some river flooding. You can see up over 2 inches possible for some of the Cascades of Washington, and the Olympics kind of staying dry so far. But that changes as we go through Monday and the Tuesday with very heavy precipitation falling. We've already gone at probably over an inch to 2 inches in a lot of the mountain lowland places. So this is additional precipitation on top of that. You can see additional precipitation totals over 3 inches possible for Seattle, maybe up towards 4 inches for Oregon. And you can see additional precipitation totals getting over 6 inches for parts of the Cascades of Washington, Oregon, and the coastal ranges on Oregon. Even some places approaching 10 inches in some places. So some very heavy rainfall. It's going to lead to some flooding. And then you can see the additional precipitation and then that next possible atmospheric river next weekend. And here's the total precipitation inches on the GFS model. Very similar with that first atmospheric river moving in the Oregon. Sorry, just accidentally went all the way to the end, spoiled all of it. And you can see by Wednesday, it has a little bit lighter precipitation for Seattle, but still over 2 inches of rain in just a couple of day periods. So still quite a bit of rain. Over 6 to 10 inches for some places over the Washington Cascades, Olympic Mountains, parts of the mountains on Vancouver Island, and Cascades of Southwest BC, as well. Isolated locations may be approaching 10 inches of rainfall. You can see additional precipitation through the end of the week. Now let's take a closer look on the Pacific Northwest. This is the National Blend of Models. This is kind of an average of a bunch of the main weather models. And let me just play this out real quick as we go through this weekend, the next week. You can see just the amount of precipitation just piling up like crazy. And if we let this play one more time, you can see that first atmospheric river right there, and then bam, the big atmospheric river right there, bringing maybe up towards 20 inches for some places near Mount Adams. I don't know if Mount Adams will get quite that much, but it's just showing the extreme level of precipitation. Over 4.5 inches for Seattle through the next like 9 days, over 5 to 6 inches maybe for Portland. And this is on top of what we've gotten the last couple of days. So this would have been like over 7 inches for Oregon if we're accounting for that as well. So some crazy precipitation totals. And I may go back real quick because I forgot to show the precipitable water map. This basically shows all the moisture that's in the atmosphere, and you can see that these reds are abnormally at high moisture content in the atmosphere. So you can see that first atmospheric river slamming into the area on Sunday, that kind of dies off, and then the next really big atmospheric river. Look at this. Some parts of Washington and Southwest BC getting over 5 sigma above average. That's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, which is going to lead to a lot of rainfall. You can see some of these reds starting to pop up for some of the Cascades. So this is why we're getting such crazy precipitation totals for the mountains, and it really lingers on for over 48 hours. So pretty strong atmospheric river incoming to the Pacific Northwest. Now let's look at the National Blended Models total snow in inches. As we play this out, you can see that we continue to build maybe a little bit more snow as we go through Sunday, but it's really not that much. But watch as we go through Monday. This is when the atmospheric river is moving through, but do you see there's hardly any change? There's no change to the mountain snows whatsoever. If we go and switch over the European model and go to the snow depth, this basically shows how much snow is on the ground right now. You can see it actually starts shrinking on the model as we go through Monday and Tuesday, showing that the snow's going to be, some of the snowpack is going to actually start melting on top of that new snow that we just got. So that's going to lead to runoff issues, increase the flooding risk. And now this is the European model 10-meter wind gusts. It's going to be really breezy and the windy in the mountains for much of the next few days. You can see we got a bit of a break before on Sunday. We get some more breezy winds in the northwest interior for parts of Whidbey Island and southwest BC up in the Strait of Georgia. You can see some gusty winds for parts of the Oregon coast and maybe the Willamette Valley as well. Of course, the mountains as well. Then you can see some more breezy wind, prolonged breezy winds, the possibly windy conditions for parts of Whidbey Island, the San Juans, Whatcom County, Skagit County. And you can see the windy conditions for the coastline as this atmospheric river moves through. If this main storm system was a little bit farther south, this atmospheric river would be even stronger, bringing probably some pretty strong winds to the region. But thankfully, that's not happening, because all this moisture seeping into the ground with strong winds would definitely cause some power outages. Now let's look at the NAM 3 cam. This is 10-meter wind gusts as well. You can see it's actually pretty windy this afternoon over in the eastern Oregon. That should be dying off here real soon. As we go through Sunday, you can see it's even more windy than the European model, maybe gusts up towards 40 miles per hour for Seattle. That may cause some isolated tree damage issues, but really not expecting too much with that. Maybe a possible westerly surge of wind down the Strait of Juan de Fuca later on Sunday afternoon for parts of Whidbey Island and the San Juan Islands, and then also blustery conditions for the Willamette Valley as the European model showed. And here's what the NAM shows for the winds with the atmospheric river on Monday. You can see it's a lot higher with gusts near 50 in the northwest interior of Washington, parts of southwest BC along the Strait of Georgia. Gusts maybe over 60 miles per hour on the coastlines. The European model a lot of times doesn't show the wind speeds that well, so I'm trusting the NAM a little more on this, and these coastlines are kind of used to this sort of wind during the winter times, but still some power outages will be possible. You can see it shows a gust over 50 miles per hour for Bellingham, so maybe some isolated power outages up there. And this kind of continues even past what this model even shows. Look at the winds, maybe even approaching 70 miles per hour off the coast of Oregon. Not out of the question. Here's the HRRR model as well. If we play this out, you can see the gusty winds on Sunday, and then the westerly surge on the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and the gusty winds in the backcountry. So just be careful if you're heading out there. And then that kind of dies off. And let me update this. I think we can see a little bit of the next system coming in later on Sorry, I can't see it on the model yet. It's still updating, unfortunately. Oh, never mind. It's updated now. Whoa. And you can see that it's also got stronger winds in the European model on the Oregon coast as well on Monday. I can't really go much farther than that because the HRRR model only goes out 48 hours. And here's the composite reflectivity, or what the radar may look like on the HRRR model. You can see as we go through this through Sunday, you can see the precipitation total starting to approach the area, and then you can see some convective showers Sunday afternoon. This really doesn't hang on that long, but you can see for Oregon, where the higher precipitation totals were expected with this system, you can really see why it starts piling up, because these heavy precipitation just kind of continues for parts of the central Oregon Cascades. And then you can see the next atmospheric river starting to move into the region on Monday, and you can see the strong frontal system also on the HRRR. Now let's look at this kind of gives us an idea on the atmospheric river forecast. And so if I go down to a data point down on the Oregon coast, you can see that there's some category 4 atmospheric river potential for parts of Oregon, category 3 for Washington. And basically this is a measure, the AR atmospheric river scale basically is how much moisture there is in there and how long it lasts for. And you can see that for a low end category 4 atmospheric river, you have to be above 750, whatever the measurement is for the moisture in the atmosphere, and then you have to have it over 48 hours. So we're kind of probably just going to be in that category 4 range. Still mostly beneficial for this time of the year. We still have some slight drought conditions in parts of the Cascades and lowlands. And then this is the GFS model, and if we look at the European model, you can see it also shows the category 4 atmospheric river for parts of the Oregon coast, and category 3 for much of the Washington coast, and category 2 and 1 for parts of southwest BC. And it shows this atmospheric river lasting about 72 hours. So even though it's not a particularly super high moisture content atmospheric river, it's still going to be lasting for such a long time, which classifies it as a Cat 4 atmospheric river. And here's the river forecast for the Skagit River near Concrete. You can see that by later this week, you can see it starts approaching major flood stage. So that's definitely going to cause maybe some flooding issues in flood prone areas along the Skagit River. And if we move over to the Snohomish River, also expected the reach possibly near major flood stage as well. The Snoqualmie River, same idea, getting above moderate flood stage, approaching major flood stage. The Wilson River near Tillamook, same idea, approaching moderate flood stage as well. And here's a nice graphic by the National Weather Service of Seattle. This is the active weather timeline tonight through Saturday, and then most of the snow is going to be finally switching off the rain later tomorrow, but there's going to be some major impacts on Snoqualmie Pass and Stevens Pass as we go through today and into tomorrow. Mainly moderate impacts for much of the area on Sunday, but as we go through Monday and Tuesday, you can see some major impacts from extensive river flooding and heavy rainfall for parts of Seattle / the lowlands of Washington. And this kind of the moderate impacts continue through Wednesday and Thursday. And here's another graphic by the National Weather Service of Seattle. It's showing the flood watch for much of almost all of western Washington. If you approach a flooded road, please turn around and don't drown. You never know how deep the water is, and just 1 to 2 feet of water can sweep a vehicle off its wheels. So just never test the water with your vehicle. There's also going to be some sneaker waves that the National Weather Service of Portland is pointing out. This is from Saturday today through Tuesday. There's going to be some powerful waves. Waves will run up higher than normal. Avoid jetties and avoid logs near waterline on beaches. The logs can get flung, and you don't want to ever get trapped under a waterlogged log because they can get very, very heavy and can crush you. And let's take a look at maximum individual wave heights on the European model. You can see our first round of waves kind of dying off today. We're still staying pretty elevated through Sunday, but you can see our next wave of waves coming in on Monday, as well as the atmospheric river churns right off the coast, and that kind of continues through Tuesday. And it looks like we got another round of nice waves when late Tuesday and the Wednesday as well before they kind of die off later this week. So a very good wave watching, but be careful out there and never turn your back on the waves. And here's a nice graphic from the National Weather Service of Spokane, Washington, showing the warm plus wet beginning of the week, increasing snowmelt and heavy rain. They did get some snow in the lowlands over there. There were some wintry scenes out there. Some of these impacts that can be expected is water in basements, possibly as that rain mixes with the snow. So just be careful and make sure that there isn't any leaks in the house. Small streams will rise and clogged storm drains will become a problem if they are not cleared. So just prepare now and clear all the snow around the drains. And here's another good graphic from the National Weather Service of Spokane showing that there's going to be windy conditions expected today. Most of these have probably already moved through, but southwest winds 15 to 25 miles per hour with gusts of 35 to 45 miles per hour were possible today. Peak wind speeds between mid-morning through the afternoon, so this is likely already gone through. And here now let's look at the European ensemble for the Vancouver International Airport in BC. This is showing the precipitation through the end of the week, and you can see it. The precipitation total is approaching 80 millimeters of rain, and that's about 3 to 4 inches of rain. So some very heavy rainfall for parts of Vancouver as well in southwest BC. And here's the same thing for Seattle, and you can see precipitation amounts are very similar to Vancouver with 3 to 4 inches expected by the end of the week. And here's Portland, Oregon, a little rainier down there as that first atmospheric river hits them more. You can see maybe approaching 4 to 5 inches of rain by the end of the week. And now here's the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. This is for December 8th through 12th. It's looking like we may get a little bit more chilly later this week and into next week. There's still plenty of time to keep watch with this, but this is what the National Weather Service of the Climate Prediction Center says. For the 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook, near normal. This is not accounting for the atmospheric rivers that we're dealing with in the next few days, but it looks like we'll just continue at least some relatively active weather through this time frame. It looks like it's going to be staying dry, mostly dry for Southern California and parts of Southern Nevada, as well as the ridge of high pressure mainly keeps them safe from all the active weather, but that means the Pacific Northwest is going to get bullseyed. As we go over to the 8th, the 14-day temperature outlook, this is for December 10th through the 16th, continued maybe below average temperatures and near normal for a large chunk of California. If we scroll down, above average to near normal for much of the West Coast. There's still a ton of time to look at this, but this is their best idea on what's going to be happening. And here's the updated official outlook for the month of December. This was just issued a couple days ago. You can see the monthly temperature outlook for December, generally a near normal to slightly above average for parts of the West Coast. But you can see the huge bullseye right there on the Pacific Northwest, basically from the very northern California all the way through Idaho, Washington, and Oregon. This would also include British Columbia, as southern British Columbia as well. You can clearly see where they're expecting the heaviest rainfall to be. So this is for December, and it's only December 2nd, so it's looking like we're going to keep up the active weather pattern at least through much of December. So there's still plenty of stuff to look at as we go through next week and the weeks after that. Great job to everybody that made it through this year. There was a lot of information to cover, as there's a lot of active weather that, and I want to make sure that you guys have the most accurate information as possible to just stay prepared and safe during these storms. Just continue to monitor the local river forecasts if you're in a flood prone area. And I may do another video tomorrow. If not, you'll catch me later next week and talking about the upcoming weather for December. And if you just keep enjoying these videos and finding them informative, just please hit that like button, subscribe button down below, and also hit that notification bell if you don't want to miss out on any new videos. Doing that just helps get the algorithm to push my video out to more people and just get more people to see these videos. So it's always appreciated when you guys do that. So Take care, God bless, and have a wonderful rest of your day and evening.